Hey everyone, welcome to your home for Magic the Gathering and the Element of Madness, the Bucket Man Show. So, here we are in 2024. Blood Moon has been live on Arena for a little over a month now in its new home in the format Timeless. But the question remains, are players aware of the clear and present threat that Blood Moon can bring to them? Are Arena players ready to make the adjustments necessary to not get hated out by Blood Moon? Well, today we put that question to the test in a best of 3 match with a deck I've constructed I like to call Blue Wizard Moon. So, like we said before, Blue Wizard Moon is a Blood Moon deck. If you're unfamiliar with what Blood Moon does, Blood Moon is a 3-mana red enchantment that turns all non-basic lands into mountains. At first it doesn't sound too bad, but then imagine your Watery Grave only producing red when you're a blue-black rogue deck. Yeah, kinda sucks. So that's the Blood Moon part. The wizard half of this deck I added because of the Flame of Anner and its power and versatility. It's a removal spell, it's a card draw spell, and it can remove an artifact. Pretty awesome. And if we control a wizard while we're casting it, we can cast 2 modes of it instead of 1. To that end, we have some pretty good wizards in our deck. We've got Snapcaster Mage, we've got Tishana's Tidebender, and we've got Vendilion Click. Now, while all these creatures can theoretically close out the game combined with Lightning Bolts, it may not be enough all the time. That's why we've got 2 killer Planeswalkers to help us definitely close out the game. For starters, we've got Chandra Torch of Defiance, which can serve as card draw, a mana producer, a removal spell, or it can pop an ultimate that will deal 5 damage whenever you cast a spell. The route is at Viceroy is more or less the same. I kind of like its plus ability better for card advantage. Its removal can hit a lot bigger targets possibly, but its ultimate is more or less the same as Chandra's. Nevertheless, I think we've got a killer deck here, and we're going to take it into a best of 3 match and really put Blood Moon to the test in Timeless. This hand has the Blood Moon we need, the control pieces, and the removal. I think we're going to keep it. We will start the game off by dropping an island and holding the spell Pierce. Our opponent shocks in a Hollowed Fountain and passes the turn. We will drop a Flooded Strand and pass the turn. Our opponent drops a Breeding Pool, followed up by casting a Deathrite Shaman. Well, we just can't let that stand. We will pop our Flooded Strand, grab a Steam Vents, shock it into play, and use Unholy Heat to remove the Deathrite Shaman. World Star! World Star, motherfucker! Going to be completely upfront and honest with you, not entirely sure what just happened there, but let's move on. Now, mind you, it is still the end of our opponent's turn, however, they're choosing to tap out and play a Brainstorm. Nope, definitely not a vote of confidence that people are ready for Blood Moon on Arena. Nope. Alright, it's our turn. Let's get down to business. What's our business? Shutting our opponent out of the game. Here's Blood Moon. Alright, opponent, how will you respond?
What a fragile thing you are. The human spirit, its soul, willing to take their own life. After one setback, one difficulty, such is the nature of human emotion when you get hit with
That World Star hip-hop, baby! Oh, shit! That's what we call callback! Hey, I ain't complaining. Less editing I have to do if it's a shorter game. Let's get these 2 Anger of the Gods in and go to game number 2. Call me crazy, but I'm not really digging this 1 land hand. Let's mull it away. Now, while this hand isn't perfect, I'm not going to 5, and we have our 2 lands. We'll keep this. Our opponent drops a turn 1 Mystic Sanctuary and passes. We will drop a Flooded Strand and pass the turn, holding a Spell Pierce. Our opponent drops a Breeding Pool, then casts a Deathrite Shaman. Jeez, am I getting a weird sense of deja vu? Because I tell you what, we are going to pop our Flooded Strand, grab ourselves a Steam Vents and shock it into play, and then murder the shit out of a Deathrite Shaman again. Why? Why do you choose now to Brainstorm? Why do you choose now to tap out? Hold up some sort of bluff, some sort of psychological defense. Your creatures are being shot with lightning and you are doing nothing! Did I get angry there? I think I may have succumbed to my rage. I apologize for that. Well, our opponent did their brainstorming and I hope it was worth it, because now we get to dash in Ragavan with no consequence. And we'll leave it at that, holding the treasure open to cast a Spell Pierce if necessary. Our opponent drops a Windswept Heath and passes the turn. Thrilling. Now, as heart race inducing as that last turn was, it's not like we are holding a lot of action either. So we're gonna brainstorm and see if we can find some sweet moves. Alright, next turn's looking pretty bright. So what we'll do is we'll drop this Mystic Sanctuary, then drop Ragavan, and hold up the Unholy Heat in case he plays another creature. Our opponent pops their Windswept Heath, grabs a Hollowed Fountain, and Swords to Plowshares our Ragavan. Wonderful. And still at the end of our opponent's turn, they cast a Brainstorm. Our opponent drops a Breeding Pool and passes their turn. Well, it's our turn, but I don't really feel good casting this Blood Moon now that our opponent has left their mana open. So we will pass the turn, holding the Unholy Heat and the Spell Pierce. Our opponent drops a Mystic Sanctuary, using it to put Swords to Plowshare from the graveyard on top of their library. Our opponent attempts to cast an Oko, and even though he has the open mana, I will attempt to Spell Pierce it. Makes sense. I knew you were holding a counterspell anyway. Yeah, again, I'm not looking to walk right into a counterspell. We'll pass the turn with our interaction in hand. Alright, our opponent makes another attempt at casting Oko. Well, we will respond with a Snapcaster. And our opponent counters it? Well, apparently our opponent is okay with casting little to no spells the rest of this game due to their lack of knowledge of causation. Our opponent makes a food with Oko, and then passes their turn. Alright, I'm feeling good about this. Our opponent has no cards in hand, and we're dropping a Blood Moon. Awesome. Our opponent pops their Polluted Delta, and grabs a basic island. And the Blood Moon's stuck. Alright, you have one card in your hand, opponent. I really want to see what that card is. What are you going to do here? Well, first and foremost, our opponent is going to play with their food, actively making it a 3/3 creature. And then both throwing a little baby tantrum and their food in our face. Well, our opponent is holding those two cards in their hand pretty close to their chest, which at the end of the day just makes you want to draw it out even more. So we're going to dash in Ragavan and hit our opponent for 2, getting in some aggression while still holding up mana for the Unholy Heat and the Tidebender. Our opponent drops an island, and then casts Time Warp?
Oh, dum-dum, you probably had trouble doing the Time Warp, didn't you?
Always hated that guy. Alright, you get your extra turn. Big whoop. Our opponent activates Oko to make a food token, which we will use Tishana's Tidebender to counter. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment on, and share this video. And please head to Bucketman Eternal on Instagram and give that a follow. Your guys' love and attention means more to me than you can ever know. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go shit out the Great Gazoo. It's fucking terrible.